Hi, well, in this film I'm going to make some straps, some leather straps using nice vegetable tan leather and brass buckles. And these straps are going to go on the tool roll. Now I've already put a film up on the tool roll. If you can do straps, you can do belts, so it's quite a useful one actually. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the film. Cutting straps, I personally quite like to just do a straight edge with my cutting rule and rotary knife, certainly on this little thickness of leather, and then just check it against my little buckle, and then set my dividers to the right width of the strap. Then if you just go along, you have to be fairly careful doing this, but you can just mark your leather lightly for the width with the dividers. I may not be able to see that line on camera, but there's a very faint line now down there which I can use for my cutting. If it's a thicker bit of leather, then I quite like using the strap cutter. So that's one of these things. But for this sort of thickness of leather, I find it's fine, and I'll just go along here. Got my line. And go down it with my knife. Right, one more strap. Just lining up the ruler. I have to be careful actually not to mark this vegetable tan leather, because you can leave nasty dents on it and ruin its surface quite quickly. Oops, a little bit of movement of my ruler, I don't like that. Never mind. There we are. I've just done a sort of quick mock-up here of the sort of effect I want on the belt, so just checked it for size really to make sure it's going to look right. Well, having cut out the straps, my next step is to round off the ends, and I've done one of these here, so it's just really set to go through the belt buckle nice and easily. So I'll do the other one. Very easy way of doing this. Well, you can forge up one of these actually if you're doing blacksmithing. There's a little sort of curved tool, and it has a sharpened edge. The English ones of these are very nicely made, but they're very expensive. The imported ones are perfectly alright, they just need proper sharpening up, and then they're fine, and they're a lot cheaper. Certainly if you're not doing lots and lots of it, it's perfectly alright. Anyway, you can forge them up from silver steel, and you get nice ones as well doing it like that. So let's give this a whap. So that gives you a nice little rounded end, which is what I was after. What I'm going to do now is do the little strips down each side, and you don't have to do this, but I quite like to just heat up. So I just find it gives a slightly nicer effect. It's personal. So this little tool is a Saddler's double crease, and this one, it's got like two blades, one slightly lower set than the other, so it acts as a good guide as you're going along the edge, and you just draw it along, and it gives you that nice decorative line. You have to be quite careful as you're using this. So here's a closer view of the crease tool, and you can probably see the two end tips, they're slightly different alignments. So one slightly sits proud of the other, so you can go along the edge of a piece of leather and it acts as a guide. The distance between the two blades is set by the little thumb screw. It's quite a nice little tool, gives a good bit of marking character to pieces of work. This one's quite an old one, it's been in the walls a bit, I've had a while to stem of it. But I do like old tools. I always think they've got a history behind them, they've been used by different generations, and hopefully will continue to be used by different people over the years. So when I'm long gone, I trust someone else will take this one on and enjoy using it as much as I do. A lovely handle on this old thing. Anyway, that's my Saddler's crease tool. There, as I've marked these up now, so that's all nicely done. One of my next jobs now is to do some holes, so I'll get some holes going along there next, and I'm going to use a hole punch tool for that. Now to mark where you want to have your holes for the hole punch, it's quite a good idea to use a pair of dividers, and then you can just walk them down your belt. just make a little indentation for where the hole will go. Check its centre each time, just do that by eye. And like that you get quite nice evenly spaced holes. Otherwise, I mean, it can look a bit unprofessional if your holes are in the wrong place. When making the holes in the belt, it's quite a good idea to put a bit of waste leather just underneath. It prolongs the life of your hole punch. As it means your cutting edge is just going onto leather the whole time. So there you are. Careful not to mark it with my fingers. I'm at a slightly odd angle here because of the camera, but I think I can just about see the centre. So again, punch it in. Get that nice click, you know it's gone through. So there I just carry on making holes like that. We get quite nice evenly spaced holes. I need to punch a couple of oblong holes, and these are for the buckles. So for the actual pin of the buckle. You could just do this by actually using a couple of ordinary punches and just punching 2 holes and then joining them together with a knife. But one can get a tool for the job. And there we are, you can see the oblong hole gives a nice little bit of clearance for the buckle. I'll run through how to make these little keepers, and all you need to do is very simple actually. One can rivet them on, so it just makes the job. You can sew them if you want to, but riveting's fine for these. I find the best way to make these is to get your belt, place a bit of keeper material underneath there. Have a scrap bit of belt material of the same thickness as your belt, and then just get it to size, place it on there so you fold it both ways. Okay, so all I've done, this is all sort of in upside down at the moment, but got a piece of leather underneath. As I say, a scrap layer, thickness of your belt. Place them over. Mark it for cutting off. So, cut that bit off. That's our bit of keeper material. The next job is to punch the rivet holes. So to punch the rivet holes, same sort of procedure. You've got your scrap bit of leather underneath still. I've folded the keeper into the sort of shape I expect it to be. And then I'm just going to punch in some holes. 1, 2. Make sure there's enough gap between your punched holes for the rivet heads. So I'm going to use quite small rivets for these. It's going to be 6mm rivets. Yeah, it's just about come through. One's come through quite well, the other's not quite so well, but that's okay. So I can just punch these holes all the way through. 1, 2. So what you then have is your keeper with the holes ready for rivets. Now, if you just use that as it was, it'll be a bit thick on the back. So the best way is to skive a bit of the leather off. By skive, I just mean shave a bit of the leather off. So I'm just shaving off a little bit of leather. It's called skiving. And these little knives are very good. They work particularly well on smaller bits of leather. They have little replaceable blades. For the thicker veg tan stuff, where I'm making sort of heavy duty stuff, I use one of these French style sort of skiving knives. So quite a nice old one, this one actually, but it works quite well. So that is now going to be considerably thinner, you see. When I can probably skive a bit more off, but when I rivet those now, it won't be as bulky, and that's really what I was aiming for with the skiving. So the next job is to get the rivets in, and I'm just using little, as I say, little tiny rivets for this bit. They're flat ones, so I'll get those popped in. Try and remember which way around I had it. That's it. Okay. So in go the rivets. One, two. On go the rivet caps. So if my hands aren't the cleanest today, I've been repointing paths and walls. It's one of those days of trying to get a bit of pointing done while the rain and the cold isn't too bad. Okay, there are my little rivets in place. Can't get a rivet press obviously under that, so all I'll do, I'll use one of my shoe tools here, and I'll just whack that with a hammer. I'd normally do it on the edge of the table, to be honest, but so you can see it on camera. I might be able to do it here. It's not got to be particularly elegantly done, it just makes it flat. I'll finish up on the edge of the table just to be certain, but that now you see makes quite a nice little keeper. So to make the holes for the rivets, I just use these little punches, same as for the keeper. There we are, and I'll give enough gap for that keeper. There we are, I've got my little rivets. So I'll feed those through. And one can just press them into position to start with. That's the first one. Move my keeper into position. Get the next rivet in. Get its cap on. Right, do a final check just to make sure that everything's there. They've got the buckle the right way. That's fine. So I've got the rivets into position here, and all I've got to do now is rivet them down. Now you can get these little tools. I'll show you one. So a little dome plate and then a punch. You get different punches for doing press studs and rivets, etc. And you just hit it down and that will sort of lock it on. So there we are. That's held it quite nicely. If you want to, if you're doing lots of rivets, you can use a machine, one of these press machines, and you just place it on and press it down. Quite useful if you're doing lots and lots of them. Quite nice quality solid brass buckles. Nice bit of leather there, nice bit of edge tan. So that's the belts, and they can go on the bowl turning hook tool hole. That's the belts done. I'll pop them on the roll, then you can see them. So here are the straps. They're all been done, all been completed, and I fix them onto the bowl turning hook holder. So a couple of rivets to hold the straps on, keep them in alignment nicely. So here's the finished tool holder, and this is the inside, and I've got the flap, and there are my bowl turning hooks, all inside, nicely protected. I'll roll it up and you can see what it looks like for carrying around. Here's the tool holder all rolled up, so it makes quite a nice, easy to carry package actually. That put it under my arm, and all nicely protected. They won't cause harm to anyone. So all in all, I'm very pleased with that. A little bit different, and it will also make sure those tools are nicely protected during their life. So there are. I hope you've enjoyed watching that one. been quite a good project all in all, what we're making the tool holder and then doing the straps. And well, thanks for watching.